right? It's any way, like same as how our friend Mike from the screening became allies with the indigenous people in Canada, right? He was talking to them for months. Even though they were strangers to each other, like that's how we gotta break down our families. You ever talk to your mom and suddenly she tells you a story about, something that you wouldn't have expected?
Oh yeah.
Something about think about how you have been interacting from that point on, right? Think about if my mom tells me a story tomorrow that she wouldn't have told me last year, I'm gonna think about what changed in our relationship over the year that made her comfortable to tell me that story. So it's time, it's trust, it's comfort. We love our family, but we don't always trust them. And then you show up with a microphone.
I mean, too, you just gotta weigh,
Crazy.
like, if you're doing that, you gotta you kind of know what you're dealing with if you're gonna ask personal questions to certain people, and you just have to decide whether or not it's worth it or you have the wherewithal to deal with it, and maybe just let it go, but in the most polite kind of way. Because you don't want now resentment at the next thing or the next family function. It really depends on what you're doing and how important it is in the work.
And
because that's your relationship also that you have to consider.
Recognize where they're coming from. So a lot of us, a lot of our elders and people that we love are holding stuff in that, like, they're alive in 2018, but their minds are in 1950, right? We know a lot of, I know a lot of older women that have a lot of patriarchal thought processes, right? So I need to figure out how to meet them in Mad Men, you know what I'm saying? And for them to give me 2018 mom.
Right.
So think about where they're at, their journey. It's hard. It's hard for a lot of people. You're asking them to tell you some secret shit?
Yeah, and once again, in this interview is not the time to correct them based upon, well, you're not up to date. That's just not the time to do it.
Right. Wait, have a teachable moment with mom later. Let mom, dad, grandpa, they're gonna say some wild shit. They're gonna say some wild, and also
you're gonna edit it out in the shit that you about to let people hear.
I mean, for interviews too, like a lot of people are like, well, this person is not appropriate or whatever. Who are you to say?
Ask the right questions. Don't ask a question that they're gonna say some wild shit.
So we're gonna move on real quick.
All right.
The way you ask, make space for quiet.
Oh.
If they don't respond right away, I should write they. I'm not gonna change it yet. If they don't respond right away, you leave that silence going.
Right.
People love to fill silence, and so do we. That's the impulse. So we're like, they didn't answer our question. No, give it a minute. Give it a minute. Sit there, 30 seconds, a minute. Just be like, yo, how did this affect? Blah, blah, blah. Didn't that hurt, right? Like, that wasn't even 30 seconds. I couldn't be, you know what I'm saying? Like, give them a second. They're processing. Whatever it could be a serious topic, and they're trying to figure out how to talk about it. And you'll see it in their face. They'll go, right? Just let them have every emotion ever in the minute.
And they'll be like, well,
Yeah.
and then they'll hit you with something.
Yeah.
Also, be prepared for what they're going to hit you with.
Mm-hmm.
Because now your response to them, now you're doing this back and forth. Yo, you could even derail your own interview if you respond inappropriately to something that they're saying, especially if it's very deep or whatever.
So just be silent. If you don't know what to say next, be silent. And if they're definitely not going to talk, then okay, cool, let's go, let's talk about the next thing. Just give that space. So even when you think they've answered the question, leave a little tiny extra silence on the end to see if they go further. See if they go the extra mile. A lot of times you end up using the stuff from the second part of the answer. Sometimes you have to guide the interview. Help them along their thought and land it where you need it. And this is more for like short form, I got to get this thing out right now, type of. And I don't like to, when you go to court and they say you're leading the witness, right?
Yeah, that's uncomfortable.
I don't want to be a lawyer and try to lead you down your own path. I want to lead you down my path, right? So I might redirect a couple times. I might say, well, we're talking about this. I might, in the interest of time, can you express that? Can you restate this? That's what I mean by guiding the interview. I'm not changing their ideas. I'm just we need to push this out. So sometimes you need to help them land it. Or when they're like, well, this is the time for you to, that shows that maybe they haven't understood what you were saying. Restate the question. Give them another chance. Or give them a glass of water. Tell them it's okay. Take a breath. Go outside for a cigarette, come back. Like, I don't know what kind of time y'all have on your hands, but you know what I'm saying? It depends on the situation. But also, guide the interview so that you have something to work with later. And also, if you're pre-recording, know that your interview should be longer than the tape that you want at the end. I had this situation with a person that I was producing their show, and they had interviewed tons of people before we became aligned as a producer-host team. So I said, send me what you got. And they had all these little 10-minute clips. I already knew. I couldn't use shit. Couldn't use any of that. Because they thought, asking, well, how did you start your business? And the person goes, this is how I started my business, blah, blah, blah. And okay, awesome. How is this affecting this is how it's affecting my life. And then the third question, and I'm like, yeah, you got these surface answers that are kind of like everybody's answers. You need to talk to them for an hour and then get 10 minutes from the hour. If you give me 10 minutes of tape, maybe I get you good 2 minutes, 3 minutes out of it. You know? So record longer for your pre-recorded stuff, y'all. And also record what you are able to work with yourself. Again, like Keisha said earlier, if you don't have 4 hours to listen back, don't record 4 hours. But if your goal is a tight 10 minutes, then record longer than 10 minutes, clearly. You know what I'm saying?
And then, I mean, the other great thing about it is you do have a really good interview and you have more, it's like having, more real. So you may use some clips for promotion of your podcast or anything down the line. It's all yours because they agreed to interview with you. So it's another way to market the thing that you have, too.
So basically, let the story unfold. Let the story unfold, let it tell itself, yes?
Yeah, you mentioned recording for like more than 4 hours. I feel like you would get tired after that point. Is there a point at which you stop getting good?
Oh yeah, I know. I'm not advocating to record more than 4 hours. There's just certain situations like these family stories or things like that you might need to. Just make sure you can. But the point at which you and the other person are like, and that might be an hour. My throat starts getting dry after 30 minutes. Like, you know, so that's also why comfort and environment is important. If I'm pulling you from a protest real quick, I'm not going to keep you for 5 minutes. That means I just want a soundbite. If I invite you to the studio, I'm probably going to keep you about an hour and a half because of the situation.
I mean, I think generally the amount of time you're going to record is informed by how long the format of the program that you're doing. So if you're doing 30 minutes, and you already had 6 minutes, the chances are you're not going to record them for 4 hours. A lot of times that really long stuff is like the oral stuff, like, you know, the family stuff or historian stuff, historian facts, they just go kind of that long format of NPR stuff, you know, but I don't know what everybody's doing. But a lot of times, yeah, the amount of time you record is going to have something to do with the amount of time of the actual end piece.
Yeah. Whatever the end piece is, just make sure it's appropriate for that. And for your life, your sustainability. A lot of us are doing this on our own dime or very limited money. Time is money, y'all. And your time is money. Your time might be somebody else's money. I'm just gonna say these last two and open up the floor for more questions, or we can just rock and roll. If you see something, say something. A lot of journalists, and I'm not a journalist, I'm a social commentator. So I have reactions. Depends on your ethos. But some people say, well, you know, is that manipulative if they start crying and I start crying, right? Like, now we're doing crying energy. But shit, if it's sad,
Right.
Be sad, because how you look, we talking, and you this guy crying, and I'm like, shit, you's a stone cold bitch, TK. Goddamn. So, sometimes you don't want to ruin your own, not to say ruin your own tape, but you might not want to be heard on it. So, I make eye contact, I make sad. I mean, I don't know what my face looks like right now. Well, you know.
Or
you know, some people just really need that validation of a response. And so at the top of the interview, I might be like, I might be kind of quiet, but it's really because I want your voice to shine here. But you know, we're here together. I'll tell them that, but I'll also act it out.
On the inside.
Yeah, I'm crying on the inside, I'm smiling on the inside, but I'm also smiling when they tell me a smiling thing. I'm frowning when they, just be cognizant of all of the energy, facial, body language, everything you're giving out, be cognizant, because they're also reacting. And if they start crying because of a very sad thing, not saying you have to, but if you feel it, that's a natural, I feel like that's natural, and that is a thing that you can make part of the story, or part of the tape. You know what I'm saying? Like, this thing touched me so much, I started crying. Yeah.
Alright, I wanted to say this, I mean, because how much more do we have?
We have time, but we're wrapping this up.
I just want to say, remind yourself why you're interviewing people. You know, and this is for the record, you know what I mean? It doesn't matter if you have a small podcast, or you're doing something for your college, or you're doing some medical thing. This is your engagement with a person about a thing that obviously you feel people need to hear. So the quality of that is very important, you know. But another thing, and I don't think we talk about this as people that do media, hopefully you're enjoying that you're doing this. So if you enjoy this, people hear that. I don't know, you don't have to feel a way about it, but I like to watch Joe Rogan. The reason why is because he is genuinely interested in learning about things. And it's nothing like seeing an adult happy about learning, or having a real experience, kind of laughing about the fish they caught, or, you know, getting locked up together, whatever. Remember the joy of what it is to communicate with people when you do all of this, you know what I mean? And that's the thing that gets you through, especially if this is part of your living. Because people say, how do you do radio for 5 years? Well, we have a responsibility as media makers and creators to give people something of consistency, or something that is valuable to them.
Consistency, child, yes.
Yeah. So I just say, remember that when you do this. And it's not saying, hey, you don't got to do it. Don't do that shit if you don't like doing it. But yo, you should enjoy it. Because if you enjoy it, it'll be great.
Can I tell you guys, I'm sorry, I just wanted to, I forgot as we were going through. No, I had a pre-interviewing, like a pre-interview.
Snafu?
Snafu, thank you.
Oh, tell them that one.
Okay. So, and then I continued to, I remember it still because it was like last year, and I'm still a little embarrassed by it, but I share it because, like I said, everything we tell you, we've mistaked on all of these.
Right.
So, for the monthly that I do, the conversation about gentrification, I booked an acquaintance of mine, right? And whatever, I booked him, I got him, locked him in, I told him the topic, we did the email thing, because I rested on my laurels and said, we're acquaintances, you know me, it's cool, just come, it's good, we're good, right? That's where I fucked up. I wasn't thorough. I didn't tell him who the other guest would be, and they felt a ways because they felt that I threw them into the hot seat. When I really, in my mind, but guess what? They're not in my mind, right? They don't know that I was like, I invited you because you can spar with this dude. But my thing is, I didn't tell them who else was up there.
And also didn't give them the chance.
Yeah, to prepare a certain way. So I didn't have to tell them, I told them the topic, but I didn't tell them who else was going to be in the room. So I just said, come through, no big deal. My pre-interview sucked. That was not good. So I kind of felt bad, and I hold that still. So I always remind myself, okay, was I thorough? Did I tell them what to expect? That's what I'm saying when you tell your doctor, like, tell me what to expect. I didn't tell that guy what to expect. But guess what? Again, because my intuition is strong, and I knew him, and I did my research, he was amazing. Now, how much more amazing would he have been if he knew who he was up against? I fucked up. Do good pre-interviews, guys, is what I'm saying. One more other story real quick. Shout out to cell phones, shout out to smartphones, shout out to the 21st century. Okay, y'all? God bless. This is one of the most powerful tools in your arsenal right now.
Yes, it is.
If you forget your microphone, you can still record a story. If you don't have a fancy camera, you can still make a movie. if you did not pre-interview and you got thrown into the hot seat and you don't even, you still got Google. So I have been tasked to interview people at this music festival, and sometimes I would get who I already knew that I was on the list, and sometimes I wouldn't, but other people were passing by. And it's, you know, marginally famous-ish people, and I'm like, ooh, this is opportunity. So I'm like, Google, oh, okay. So I just go over there with my thing, I'm like, hey, person of interest, I heard you dropped the album. It's called such and such, right? So that's me establishing familiarity, and they just like, what? Right? I just roll up, and I get what I want out of the situation. But so a thing happened to me though that was more like, I was invited as a guest of a show. And that colleague also, he fucked up in the pre-interview with me. He didn't tell me what to expect. So I get to the show, and I'm the guest now. And he goes, oh, you know, there's some person there, and he goes, TK, won't you help me out with this interview? Ooh. First of all, I thought I was a guest. I didn't think I was coming to work. If we wasn't friends, I would have left. Real talk. So, luckily, I had been sitting in the room the whole time as he was introducing the person, and I was like, you have a spidey sense of what's about to go down. I had a spidey sense that he was about to do that to me, so I had already started Googling the guy. And then by the time I sat in the seat, I already had like 3 or 4 facts from Wikipedia about this guy. So when he threw it to me and I was shocked but not shocked, I was like, hey, person of interest, marginal, I find that you're a marginal outskirts member of the Wu-Tang Clan. Tell me more about that.
That's
right? I didn't know that question 5 minutes before that. Well, you know, I should have said, I didn't say marginal, I said outskirts, I should have said, but also, if I knew, I would have chosen my words better.
RZA's cousin.
I was like, oh, you might be, I don't know you. But guess what? He actually was impressed that I knew a thing that people hadn't asked him about in a long time. Because in 3 minutes, I Googled him real quick. Right. So honestly, y'all, it's basically, you want to say there's no excuse for being unprepared. Zero. Any level of preparation is better than no preparation, y'all. Prepare pre-interview. Make sure your equipment works. Make sure you're using the equipment properly. If you don't know how, go on YouTube. People make them videos for fun. They make them videos like, I'm like, y'all got shit to do but make how-to videos. So go ahead, go on the YouTubes, they do it. And go through your questions. At the end of your interview, if it's pre-recorded, tell them, hey, I'm gonna look through my notes. See if there's anything else that we missed. And then ask it.
Is there anything else that we missed?
I think we're good. Did we miss anything? Oh, hello, Frank.
You may have talked about this before I got in. Interruptions.
Yes.
How do you deal with a guest who won't stop talking? And how do you do that in a way that is respectful and still maintains the intimacy that you've established with them?
Do you want to take that? Or do you remember what we said?
You can try.
Because I answered it for him.
Okay, thanks.
You gotta teach it, right?
All right, so if somebody's getting off the rail, you just go, thank you, or you wait for a breath. There we go. Wait for a breath. Wait for a breath and then bring it back gently. You know, like you have to take charge. I guess that's what I heard. Take charge and just be gentle and did direct. Yeah.
Redirect.
Oh yeah, did direct.
I told them one analogy.
What he said. Just be respectful, but it's your responsibility as the interviewer to bring it back. So don't feel ways, just feel a ways about how you're bringing it back.
So no double dutch? I don't like double dutch.
Yeah.
Wait to jump in.
Yes, Richard. I googled you real quick. Richard in the yellow.
That's why they gave us these, right?
Earlier there was a woman who asked about the family interviewing, I believe. I just wanted to know if you had any insights on if you're interviewing multiple people, and like if it's just you're interviewing multiple people, if there's like a shift in like somebody's energy, it's like you ask one question, one person's like, oh my gosh, another person's kind of like, do you, like, how do you navigate that?
Yeah, group interviewing, dynamics and energies. Do you have thoughts? You want to go first? Okay. Okay, you think about it. Yeah, so like that kind of, with the interview with my acquaintance and the counterpart, because it's two ideologies that were at play there. There was a lot of faces, body language, but also they were respectful of each other in the moment, and I think that's something that you have to kind of establish going in, that we're going to be respectful to each other and blah, blah, blah. But also sometimes some people can't hold it, or one energy affects the other energy, and
sometimes you can stop recording.
yeah, I was going to say, it's like, in that moment, depending on what you want out of it, do you want the conflict or do you not want the conflict?
Like if somebody is kind of, you can tell that one person has something to say, but the other person's kind of like dominating the conversation.
Yeah.
And they're like talking over them, you're like, oh.
Well, you do that. We do that a lot. Because you do that, me, because I'm over talking the person. So
So I go like, yo, let Richard talk, right? And I'll be like, no, I don't say it like that, but I'll be like, yo, Richard, you were trying to make a point about family dynamics in group interviews, and then I'll try, like, I will, at some point as the interviewer, the other person will get that you are trying to let the opposite person speak.
Right.
So it is my responsibility to let you have a voice, and remind folks without saying it, you know what I'm saying? So it's for them, it's saying it without saying it, and for this person, it's empowering them to use their voice. So just remember to empower them to use their voice. 1 second, says we got 2 here, and then we'll come back here.
I was just curious that, like, when you personally are doing an interview, like if it's you and somebody else, what or how many mics do you prefer?